most basic part of any bike mechanics is, of course, changing a flat tire. We're going to change the wheel on a road bike first. Carries over to a mountain bike too, so any bike you choose is just fine. Normally you get a flat tire when you're out riding, not in your garage. So the first thing I do when I get a flat on the road or on the trail is go ahead and shift it into the hardest gear, which is the lowest cog. So just shift it down, go ahead and pedal, and move it into your lowest gear. And what this does is helps you to be able to get the wheel off a little bit easier and releases a little bit of tension on your chain. So go ahead and loosen your quick release. If you've got a quick release on your brake too, go ahead and loosen that. For Campy here, it's up here on the handlebar. And then just lift up the rear wheel and pop it off. Push on the back of the pulley cage there. That'll help you get the chain off. And you can put your bike down on the ground. For me, I'm just going to set it up here on the stand. And take your wheel. This wheel does actually have air in it, so I'll go ahead and let that out. And normally it's good to carry a basic tire lever with you wherever you go. So you can do this with one. Sometimes you'll need two if it's a really stiff tire. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and insert that opposite of the valve stem. Right there, right on the bead, and go ahead and lift up. And then just move that around the tire. And then with your thumbs, and this, you can get really, really stiff and stubborn tires off pretty easily. But go ahead and take it and put it on the ground or the table or your leg, and you can go ahead and just pry that off. And tires that are a little bit older will pry off quite a bit easier as well. Normally they'll just come right off there. And then go ahead and pull your tube out. And a lot of times the mistake that people make is they put the new tube right back in the tire and they don't check for, glass or thorns or anything like that. So the first thing you want to do, take a couple of fingers, stick them in the tire and just go all the way around. Make sure there's no thorns. If you do find them, it's good to just pinch and check and see if that thorn's in there. Grab something pokey if you've got it at home, or just try to work it out with your fingernails and make sure there's nothing left in that tire before you put that new tube in. Otherwise you'll get a flat in another couple miles. It's pretty common with glass especially. And we'll say, okay, we've got our brand new tube here. If you're on the side of the trail and you don't have a pump, maybe you just have a CO2 cartridge, you can just make sure that your valve is loose if it's a Presta valve. I'll just put a little bit of air in there like that. Go ahead and seal it up. And by having a little bit of air in there, it'll help you to not pinch the tube with the bead of the tire as you put it on, and it'll help your tube not blow up as you put it back in. So then, go ahead and grab your tire. It's good to put your label right where the valve stem hole is so you can find it easily. Make sure the direction on the tire is correct, and go ahead and put that back on. And again, just kind of work it around. It's a pretty stiff tire, so it depends. If you've got a Kevlar bead tire, it'll come off a little easier. If you've got a wire bead tire, it'll be a little more stiff. Sometimes you need 2 or 3 different tire levers. So now that you've got a little bit of air, go ahead and put the tube back in. Start at the valve stem so it's centered. And then just start to tuck it up in the rim pretty loosely. If you find that the tube seems like it's a lot bigger than the wheel, you've probably put a little too much air in. So barely put enough air in to make the tube stand on its own. And just tuck it in to the rim as much as you can. And then what I like to do too is start at the valve stem and just kind of work that tire, push it around. Make sure that no tube is sticking out. If you have tube sticking out and you put the bead all the way on, when you pump that up, it'll explode, which is never fun. And then you'll be using your cell phone as a repair kit. Start at that valve stem and work all the way around to the other side. And if you have a real stiff tire, you'll end up getting some sore thumbs, and sometimes it requires you to carefully put that tire lever into the rim there, and you can kind of force it back on. So leave it off the bike and come and grab your pump. Road bike tires, typically you're going to want it between 100 and 120 psi. Just read the sidewall on your tire and it'll tell you what the recommended pressure is. Get your pump on there. Go ahead and take that up to the recommended pressure.